I'm not saying cut your social media altogether. No, I'm not saying that at all. Hey, hi, welcome back. Come on in. To my returning subscribers, welcome back. To my new viewers, it's good to have you. You're welcome. Come on in. Have a seat, stand, lay down, whichever form you're most comfortable with. As you can see by the title, it's not that serious. We're talking about social media and setting healthy boundaries, something that affects all of us on a daily basis. So I'm hoping that we'll get through this smoothly because the lighting is very bad today. So please just bear with me. I chose a time of day that's not ideal for recording, but it's been a busy morning. So I thought, let me just be intentional and record. And so therefore I am here. So welcome. As you can see, like I said by the title, we're talking about setting boundaries for social media. So please note that I am by no means a health coach. I am not a therapist. I am not that way, not even near that way inclined. The points that I do share on my channel are usually just opinionated, as you can tell by my description in my profile. I do share opinions, experiences that are my own. Some research that I will be covering in the future will be from, or points that we'll be discussing about will be from research that I've done on the net. So depending on the topic that we're talking about, I'm not a professional in any way. It's just me personally speaking about things that, from my perspective, from my point of view. So please don't come at me in the comment section and say, but surely you said this and it's not that way. No, these are just my personal opinions. So I just had to put that disclaimer in just in case. So sometimes you'll find me looking down and not making direct eye contact. It's not that I'm trying to be rude. I do have notes. And for that reason, as I said, I want to be intentional and I want to deliver all the points that I put forward. So by doing this, I need to make notes. So I thought to myself, why not cover this topic? Because this is something that affects all of us on a daily basis because we all use social media every day. So since it's something that we are actively, why is my mind drifting? Yes. Okay. Let's rewind it. Take it back. So since we're all in need of a timeout from just the daily demands of life, we know that sometimes some of us opt for social media as a method or as a way to decompress. And just to pause from the different things that demand so much of us from life, be it work. Some are from, okay, I'm not a parent, but I can just imagine how demanding the parenting lifestyle can be. So sometimes we just need something to distract us. And a lot of us opt for social media because that just happens to be the easiest. I mean, why not just look through something else or somebody else's life as a way to disconnect? And so at least that's how I used to look at my, I used to look at my relationship with social media in that way until I intentionally took a break from social media. It wasn't indefinite. Let me say an indefinite break. It wasn't something that I planned on doing permanently, but I do think that it served to be beneficial to me in a very good way. And so for me, distancing myself temporarily from social media was, for me, I think it was the most restorative thing that I could ever have done. It really, really was. And so I thought I'd come up here and share some points that worked for me in hopes that it might benefit you as well. Now, I'm not saying cut your social media altogether. No, I'm not saying that at all. However, sometimes self-care looks like setting boundaries on our social media. And that's why I want to share these pointers with you, because as a means of self-care, setting boundaries not only in our physical relationships, but also with our social media platforms can benefit us in a large way. So let's get into it. So here are some few practical boundaries that I've set. on my social media. I just want to get them ready because, like I said, I'll be just viewing my notes every now and then because I want to set the point and I want to get all the juicy bits out there. Okay, so my point number 1 was setting time limits. Now I know that on Android or iOS phones, I'm not on Apple, so they do have a feature that allows you to set a time limit on your app or on your groups. And so what both of us have done, both meaning Habanero and myself, have done is we've set a 30-minute time limit on our social networking apps. And I find that this worked very well for us, but it is key to respect the little alarm that goes off and says your time is up. I'm not saying click ignore, swipe left, no. It means for this actually to work and to benefit you, you have to be disciplined. And so, for instance, what I do is I'll set a 30-minute limit on, for example, my Pinterest, because that is my go-to platform. And usually when I'm having my tea or it's just my downtime, usually it's before bed, I'd have my last cup of tea. And by the time I'm down to my last sip, my time is up. And then that's okay. And for me, that's just an indicator to say, okay, I've reached my limit for the day. Not to say that I've been sitting there for 30 minutes. It doesn't take me 30 minutes to sip tea. But throughout the day, you'll catch yourself taking a 5-minute here, there, just to scroll through and look at things. But I'm just making an example that by that time, if I still have leftover time, then I'll just happen to, while I'm sipping on my tea, scroll through my last few minutes, make the best of it, until it's up, and then it's done. And then I've called it, and that's it. So let's go on to point number 2. You see, that was simple. And so point number 2, I highlighted as turn your notifications off. And now this way you aren't tempted or baited into wanting to reply every time you hear that sound alert go off. Or even worse for me, being disturbed during sleep time, because I do happen to have family and friends in different countries. So the time zones are different. So when it's sleep time for me, it might be morning time somewhere else in the world. So what I do is, because I use WhatsApp and my Pinterest DMs as a primary method of communicating, what I do is I turn my notification, or I silence them at night, and then I just reactivate them in the morning. And it's that simple. That way I'm not disturbed, and just to be mindful of my husband as well. He's not disturbed during our sleep time. And also I'm not tempted to want to go and look at it. Now I specifically do that only for messages, because if a call does happen to come through, I know for emergency purposes I keep my sound activated with regards to that. But with my messages, I do silence them, and I find that it works. It works. I'm not tempted to look at it. Once my downtime is up, it's up. Okay, so point number 3 is move the target. Now I say this because I don't know about you, but I speak from experience. I sometimes automatically just go and open an app that I did not intend on opening. So for example, if I was scrolling through my phone to get to my contact list, or it just so happens, I'm just sharing an example. And this actually happened. I was trying to look at the weather, and then I moved over and I opened my Pinterest because it was accessible and I could see it. And so what I've done is I've moved all my social networking apps onto my 3rd page on my phone, which will be my last page. And so I don't want to say the temptation, but I just wanted to do it so that this requires more intention for me to get to that particular app. And so it's not the first thing I see. So my shortcut app, my homepage, would be all the things that I need. And then the last page are the things that I don't need. So the temptation is not there at the offset. And so, that I find that works for me. So it's another point. Moving on. Okay, so point number 4 is screen cleaning, or a social audit, as some would call it. And so every few months I take time out to make an audit on my social media accounts. And this is particularly for who I'm following. I find that this is a great step at creating social media boundaries. So one way that I've done this is I'll go through every name on my contact list and I'll look at their profiles and then I'll just ask myself, like, is this person or group or a business beneficial to me? Because sometimes you'll have contacts on your phone or profiles that you're following. They aren't really beneficial, but they're just there. And so another question I'll ask myself is, how often do we communicate, if ever? Because sometimes you'll find you'll have contacts that you've never communicated with, and you wonder, like, why do I have this person's number on my phone? And so another question I'll ask myself is, do I feel encouraged by the content? Because I feel this is very important, because sometimes looking through somebody's content might it just makes you feel some type of way. I don't know if, I'm not necessarily saying it's a negative way, but sometimes you can just walk away not feeling so great after looking through somebody's content. So I feel that's very important, because if it's your downtime or your decompressed time, it shouldn't be making you feel, or it shouldn't be pointing you to a negative avenue. And that's just a segue into my final question that I ask is, does it make me happy? Like, being part of their life, if it's a person, or does it make me happy? Because I think that's quite important. It's quite important to consider if it's people that you're communicating with, because you're not necessarily going to be in touch with people who don't add value to your life, or vice versa, you don't add value to theirs. And so the goal of this is to help you figure out if it's worth following that specific person or that particular group. And if the account makes you feel frustrated or angry or even inadequate at times, then 9 times out of 10, I clean it. I cut it out, I clean it, or what I do is that sometimes I just silence that account or that person or that group. And so it's not at the forefront on my contact list, or when I open my WhatsApp, for example, and it's not at the top, or not as my priority, rather. So this brings us to point number 5, which is respect others' wishes. So when a partner or a friend or a family member asks you to put away your phone in their company, just do it. I know that sometimes you might be thinking, but what if they're boring? But just look at it from their perspective. And for me, I find it's important that a person is fully present. And being fully present with people you love is key to achieving balance. Balance with your social media activity, or just your platforms in general. And so to respect their wishes when you're asked to disconnect and just to enjoy their company, I can guarantee you you'll be happy that you did. Because just think about how you feel, or how you would feel if you were in their shoes and you were sitting, and just imagine it. You're trying to share a point or get something across and somebody's on their phone texting. It's so annoying, don't you think? I know it is for me. It just makes me feel like what I'm saying or what I'm trying to say is not important enough for the person to be paying attention. And so I for one do stand by that, because I know how I feel about that particular point. And so you might just want to consider this the next time you're on your phone and you're in the presence of other people. It's just, I don't think I wouldn't say disrespectful, but it's just being mindful of others and how it might make them feel. Even though it might not be that important to you, but it might be important to the next person. And again, we're setting boundaries for our social media. So we don't want our activity to interfere with meaningful relationships. And so these are just a few boundaries or pointers that I wanted to share that I have tried and from my experience. So I know that everybody's relationship with social media is different. So what looks like boundaries to me might not be boundaries for you. But whatever your boundary looks like, setting boundaries for me, or whoever plans on setting boundaries, I feel, will not only help you to be more productive, but I feel that especially if you're on the path of fortifying your spiritual relationship with God, if you are religiously inclined, but doing that or setting those boundaries might just give you time to focus on the more important things in life, because social media is not everything. It's not everything. So that's it. Thank you so much for sharing and for taking the time out to connect and to watch my video. I'm hoping that you please leave your comments down in the comment section below. Like I always say, I like to encourage everyone who's part of our little community here to share in the topic that we discussed today. Like, we were sharing useful tips on how to set limits on our social media activity. So post them in the comments. I would like to know what your ideas are, what tips you could share, because I can benefit from them as well, and whoever else is reading the comments can benefit. So let's create a community of sharing positive feedback. And so that's it, guys. That's it. So, as always, I've enjoyed my time. I hope you enjoyed your time. I thank you so much for taking the time out to watch this video. I ask, please, that you like this video if you want to. It's not an obligation, but if you would like to subscribe, you can subscribe, you can share, you can hit that notification bell for the next video, so that way you can be alerted you can be the first to watch it when it does come out. So that is it for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, whichever time it is, whether it's nighttime, afternoon, it doesn't matter. Just enjoy the rest of what's left of your day. And as always, be mindful, be content, and be blissful. Until the next time, which will probably be sometime this week, we'll catch you on the flip side. See you soon. Ciao.